I'm all in all just been changing the brake fluid in this car, and it occurred to me that a lot of people don't really seem to know why the brake fluid is changed or understand the necessity for it. So I'm going to do a quick video just to show you why. First of all, brake fluid is a bit like sugar. If you leave sugar out on the side, it'll absorb moisture from the atmosphere and it'll eventually go hard and rock solid. Brake fluid's the same. It absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. When that moisture level gets greater than 3%, we need to change it. We've got a little tool here that we use, simple tool, tests for the water content in brake fluid. Why do we not want water in brake fluid? Well, brake fluid has a extremely high boiling point. This is a very, very crude diagram of a car's brake system. We've got a brake reservoir here, you've got your brake master cylinder and your brake pedal here. That's the bit where your foot would go. There's some brake pipes, and then there's your four wheels. Some brakes have, pretty much all brakes these days have disc brakes. Some of them have drum brakes, but they work the same. We use hydraulic pressure to operate a caliper or a wheel cylinder, which pushes brake pads or brake shoes against the friction surface, and the friction in the form of heat dissipates kinetic energy from the car. But we don't need to worry about that too much. What we need to know is that the brake fluid stored here is fed to this master cylinder here. We put our foot on the brake that way. That creates hydraulic pressure through the lines to help them operate. As we all know, basic physics says we can't compress a fluid. So the effort shown here is direct to each individual brake, without that being reduced in any way. However, we can compress air, and when you get air in a brake pipe, imagine that this pipe here is your brake pipe, and you can see on this pipe there's fluid in it. You can see that level just about there. You can see the air bubble moving along in that pipe. So if you put your foot on the brake and you've got an air bubble in your line, say between here and here, as we're pushing our brake pedal, the fluid this side and this side compresses the air bubble, and that equates to a lot of travel on our brake. So we're getting travel on the brake and we're getting no effort transmitted to our brake calipers and wheel cylinders, because all we're doing is compressing the air in that little bubble. So air in brakes is bad, which is why we bleed them. Which takes us back to why are we changing the brake fluid regularly? Well, water content in our brake fluid is bad because when our brakes get hot, let's say we're in a vehicle that's going through a mountainous region, we're using our brakes a lot, maybe we're towing a caravan, we're going down a hill, we've got our foot on the brake a lot, all that residual heat that builds up in the brakes transfers through to the brake caliper and therefore into the brake fluid that's in the brake caliper. That brake fluid is going to get hot. Brake fluid has an extremely high boiling point. If we raise that boiling point to the point where the fluid boils, then we get bubbles. What lowers that boiling point is water in the brake fluid. And if we have water in the brake fluid, our boiling point is reduced. The water itself boils, and when we boil water, the air molecules in the water expand into bubbles, and so our fluid gets hot, it boils, bubbles appear in our brake lines, and we get a complete lack of brake pedal, or what's known as brake fade. Brake fade equals no brakes equals bad. So we need to test and replace the brake fluid whenever necessary, and it's vital. Now you know why it's supposed to be done. Make sure yours is done.